Yes, Your Honor, we have Todd Dickman, and there's a bunch of recreation announcements.
Yep, yeah, I think 4 of them for you tonight. So this Wednesday, we are going to have a breast cancer walker in Young Patriots Park. It's going to be around the pond, $5 donation for that. It's going to be from 4 to 6 p.m. And any of the proceeds are going to go to the Game On Cancer Fund, which is through the Henry Ford Healthcare Systems with that. So if anyone would like to come out and participate in that, you're more than welcome to. This weekend, we are going to have hay rides in the park from 4 to 7. The fire station is going to be doing a trunk or treat from 5 to 7. And we will also have a movie in the park, which is Despicable Me 4 at 6:30 for that. So the hay rides will be $5 a person. The other 2 items are free for families to participate in for that. So come on out and enjoy hopefully a nice fall day. The weather's supposed to be nice for us. And then next Friday, we are going to have a tailgate party for the seniors. Next Saturday on the 26th is the Michigan State game. So in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, we are going to have a tailgate party for our seniors, which Parthenon has donated coney dogs and fries for that. So if anyone would like to come out, it is going to be a free event. You can come out, wear your school colors, the one that you prefer the best, and cheer them on. And also, we have been letting residents know that we are going to do the Halloween decorating contest again this year. So for any houses that have decorated for Halloween, we will have judges out next Wednesday and Thursday, one of the 2 nights. So the judges will be out, and that is the 23rd and 24th. And I am still looking for a couple more judges. If anyone loves to go out and check out Halloween decorating, if anyone would like to help out, thank you. So,
Thank you, Todd.
all right, thank
Hey,
you.
Todd, what
Yes.
time is the Michigan State,
1 to
Yep.
2:30.
1 to 2:30? Okay, I just didn't hear that.
Sorry.
Yep. In the senior center here at
Yes,
City Hall.
correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all I got, Your Honor.
Well, we do have one more announcement. We're going to reschedule the special meeting we had scheduled for tonight. That'll be scheduled for a later date, so we won't be doing that tonight. So Jeff, 2-1, update special projects.
Okay, let's talk some engineering reports that we have, economic development. So let's start with the engineers, Ohio.
Good evening, everyone. The section is proceeding very well. We are at 60% completed, so we have a little bit more to go, but it's going very well. The sewer lining, we are at 98%. One more segment and we'll be done with this year's program. And we will be replacing 20 more lead services throughout the city. So that's all I have for tonight.
Yeah, they're doing the street section in our neighborhood. They're doing a really good job of getting it done really quickly.
It does a good job.
Thank you. Thanks, Ohio.
Jennifer Boyer.
2 things to report on. The soil recovery project, we had some new bidders and they've had a lot of questions. So we discussed with Jeff, we're going to extend the bid due date to October 31st. That will still give us time to bring a recommendation to the November meeting and move that forward for this year still. And then the second one is we replaced the carbon filters in the leachate treatment building. Due to some pump failures and some other things that happened, there was an issue with the discharge being above the permit limit, but we were able to resolve it really quickly and we're back into the sewer. And we just have to do a couple more confirmation sampling, but everything is looking good.
Thank you.
And just so you know, Mayor and Council, the reason that we want to get that GAC changed, it's only a nickel a gallon to discharge to do our wastewater, and it's very expensive to fill the trucks up daily and take them off site. So that's why that was a huge win for us to get it done quickly. They scheduled it and got it done quickly because
It was like 30 cents a gallon or something like that for the
it's more than that, I think.
Well, I'm actually going to correct you. It's about 1.5 cents to
Oh.
get the sewer,
Okay,
and it's about 11 cents
Oh.
to haul it off-site.
yeah,
Okay.
so it's 10 times savings, so, my bad. I knew something was a nickel. Okay. All right, that's all we have for engineering.
So special projects.
Dave Skirdo's here.
Thank you. Just 3 items tonight. The first one is Panda 2, which is the cannabis facility going on the vacant site next to Mobile. They did receive their special land use approval from the Planning Commission in October last meeting. They still have a number of items with their site plan review, so they got to come back before they receive that. Second item is the Showboat Theater site. We have been working diligently with the courts and the attorneys trying to enforce the court agreements and also preparing for upcoming court visits. Finally, we've been doing quite a bit of research and support for the block grant projects in the city, Vreeland Park, sidewalk issues, things like that.
So, and there's a new grill or restaurant going in the Riverview Commons. Are you aware of that? I don't know if it's called Holiday Grill or whatever. They're doing work in there. Are you aware of anything going on
I
there?
think someone came in a while back, but they're doing some indoor
Uh-huh.
items, so usually those go straight to building, they don't come to planning, but I can look into that, so.
But also on the Showboat property, those sandbag things really need to be picked up.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
it's more of a
our-
safety
It
hazard.
was part of our,
Yeah. I've got some very long novel-length emails from the owner. So, all right, well, thank you,
yeah,
Dave.
we'll get those done.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask
Yes.
about, maybe you attended or Dave attended, or maybe Jeff, the 5 community waterfront project? They had an update meeting today that I wasn't able to attend because of a competing work meeting. It's from 1 to 2. I was just wondering, did you attend, were you able to attend the waterfront meeting
Yeah.
today? Could we get like just a brief
Give them the 2 cents of that year.
summary of what you had heard?
Yeah.
Yeah, they focused not on all the communities, they focused on Riverview and Wyandotte today. What they mentioned was there may be a possibility of getting the state land bank involved, trying to get a hold of the property. Also, they had a vision plan now set up for the sites, everything from industrial development down to a commercial node and a lot of recreation for the site east of Jefferson Avenue. They said the issues we have to look at and take some hard decisions on is creating a stormwater management system that can handle all the sites at once so we don't get caught up in these little piecemeal items. They also said we had to make figure out where the grants are coming from, try to figure out a financial way of doing this in terms of matching dollars, things like that. They didn't have any answers for that, they were just throwing out. That's that in a nutshell.
Okay.
And what they're gonna do from the input provided today is they're gonna put their master plan together.
Yes.
And it sounds like it'll be a few weeks before that happens. But the key is, and we've discussed this already, where they're breaking the property cleanup development into several sections.
Right.
Starting by.
Multiple phases as well.
Yes,
So
and
like-
starting away from the river, working their way
Right.
to the river.
West Brinefield is phase 1.
Yes.
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 Which would be my question, because we'd been asking Eagle if, since the UTC project's gonna be using the east portion of the property for the dredgings, then we were asking, could we use the west side and start getting that developed into industrial? And the answer's kind of been yes and no, depending on who you talk to. Do we have a definite answer? Because in phase 1, it just shows the west Brinefield and then the watersheds that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, did you hear anything about, could we proceed with trying to work with redevelopment of the west side?
That's where we need to get an audience, and it sounds like it's open with the state land bank authority, and it gives us a little more clout, or at least gives us state clout, and we have to make some decisions after the fact.
Yeah, it was just weird how they mentioned it. It's, the land bank doesn't take ownership of the property, they take control. So when you have somebody with their expertise, the processes will move along a little bit quicker than how slow it moves, if at all, through Arkema. So if they relinquish control to the land bank, then all these things can happen in a much quicker fashion with starting, like, so how they broke it down in several sections. So yes, I mean, I can see the part closest to Reno Street, that area there, being long before anything's even considered at the west side.
And one thing we did find out, the state land bank, not to get confused with the county land bank, the state land bank has more powers than the county does. So we'd have to go through that route.
Mhm.
If it goes into a land bank, that's beyond us, right? There's no liability
Oh,
on the
no,
city.
they
for
still
something
cut
like
it.
that.
Yeah,
still
they
cut
made
that.
that clear, you know, we won't do anything, and Mayor Lang does the same thing, we're not gonna do anything that brings liability on our part.
Okay.
But still, in the end, Arkham is still responsible for the cost.
Yes, they're
So it
responsible for
doesn't,
the cost.
you know, it doesn't relieve them of the cost, but, you know, they can move the process quicker, and in the end, Arkham is gonna have the one to pay for it.
Because, I mean, I think we all know, we've heard grumblings of, oh, maybe they would just give it. I said, I wouldn't take it if it was up to me. It would
Well, no,
be
that's
because
a
of
good
the, you know.
idea. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's like, I think people are, gotta think of the whole big
That's
picture.
why Trent didn't take McLeod.
Right, exactly.
And they did say that Arkaba, you know, has been wishy-washy. One time they talk about doing something with the property, and the other times they say, we don't have to do anything at all, we can just leave it there. They're not required to do anything at all, even if we push the redevelopment.
But, and they also pointed out is that you really have to focus, and this is where I struggled, you have to focus on the end use of the property. And even though it might be 70 years before that happens, that's always your focus, because that's when it's easier, I guess is the way to put it, to get grants, to get those things cleaned up, if you have a purpose in mind already.
It's definitely one thing that we learned at the Brownfields
Yeah.
Conference in Detroit this year is community input on what the community would like to see there, and even give the area a name. We discussed this at the Coffee with Council. That's something that we as a community can do even in the vision plan or in these Coffee with Councils, and bring that forward then to the waterfront committee and see if it is in line with what they have, because they've already done extensive mapping of, you know, marina, the entertainment complex, the tie-in with the Iron Bell Trail, so there's a lot going on. And I think a lot of that was from the community input that we had at the rec center, you know, so I think it's in line with what we want as a community as well as what Wyandotte wants. So I really like that master plan. Do you know if that recording is gonna be available from the meeting today? Had you heard if they were recording it or not?
I don't know if they're recording it.
Okay.
I'm sure they will.
I don't
but
remember
haven't
hearing
seen
the meeting
recording.
being recorded, but we did ask where we can make all council gets the slideshow.
I have,
Slide.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
forward that on to everybody. It's very interesting, so thank you for that update.
Hey Jeff, what's next?
Well, what's next is other business for council.
We'll get back to my agenda. Any other business council wants to bring up at this time? Brian?
So I appreciate it. One of the last study sessions, we got an idea about the wetlands on both the Sibley and Grange property, being the upland type. It's a 2-to-1 displacement, and base cost estimate was 100 to 120K per acre, I believe, or recall correctly. 130.
But that was just an estimate.
Right, somewhere between 100 and 130, which put it into the multi-millions.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Right. One of the things I had hoped that we would get from the wetland survey was how many acres on each parcel is wetlands. So now we know what type of wetlands they are, but we still don't know the acreage. And the way it was explained to me by your office, Dave, or you, was that we would have to have a developer give a proposal first of where they were gonna build on the property, what they were gonna build, and then the city would do an assessment of, is that a wetland or not? Or how many of those acres are
The
wetlands?
DNR.
The DNR.
The DNR would do an assessment of it, yes. Eagle, I'm sorry, it's Eagle.
Okay, so, just to be clear, that's the only way, after we paid for surveys, and I would have hoped that we would have had that by now, the only way we're gonna find out how much of that is wetlands is if a developer pays to put together a plan or proposal for that properties. Correct? I see
To
some
start the
bio
process.
sickness back there.
Start the
So,
process. yeah.
That's,
I
okay.
can reach back out to the folks that did the general survey, see if they got any numbers on it.
Okay, in the map, you could see, it has which parts are wetlands, but there's not a percentage or a grid or anything to gauge that. You and I have talked about that. It looked like about 90%,
Yeah.
right? So I was hoping there was a ballpark of how
I
many
can
acres.
reach back out and see if they got any preliminary numbers from the previous firm.
Okay. So that was on the wetlands, and then the other question I had then is I'd proposed maybe a three-step approach to this. Instead of letting one hurdle stop us from investigating these developments, is breaking it down to multi pieces to look at. So we're looking at the wetlands, but you'd also start working with the city assessors on gauging based upon other developments similar to the Civic Park sub-development that the community development director has. They gave a rough estimate of around $3,500 per unit. Did you ever get an estimate of how many units could fit on
I did not.
that parcel?
I did not. But
Um,
What, wasn't it, Dave, 220 in the old plan, 220 units?
It was
Which plan, I'm sorry.
700, the Civic Park townhomes, Civic Park sub with the
Oh,
townhomes.
over right?
Yeah, over, yeah.
Yeah, it varied, some of them went up that high.
750.
Depending on if they went high or,
Yeah,
it was
on the
all
stacked
over.
ones, I think it was up to 750
Yeah, I think
units.
we're given scenarios.
And I think that was a 20-acre parcel or
Yeah, so we
development.
went down to, it was for 5 parcels, and I think the lowest amount was like 200 and something units if they get really low density.
Right, right. So I would still be interested in finding out through our city assessor. So we have a number of 3,500 in city taxes could be generated based upon, and I've seen up as, that was the, across Bishop Park, those townhomes, the stacked townhomes in Wyandotte,
Mm-hmm.
were up to 3,500. If you went down towards the golf course, which is similar to where ours would be located, they were up to 4,500 in city taxes. So if you just ballpark 4,500 towards, even if you just use 700 units, that's quite a lot of property tax revenue that could be generated. So I know the obstacle would be possibly the city paying for the displacement of the wetlands, and obviously that's a big chunk of change, but then
It
you'd
would
have.
be millions.
It would be millions, but how long would it take to recoup that in tax revenue if you had a developer that was, or we could work with the state as well.
And don't
Maybe
you
find
look-
some funding or
Yeah.
bond or something like that, where it's not just a chunk right out of our pocket, right?
But also, we'd have to look, and we've mentioned this before, about the infrastructure. Do we even,
$2
going through all
million, I
this,
think, was
do
the
we
number.
have the capacity for that
Well,
many homes?
All I can tell you, what I learned in another city, they decided to develop some land, took it on, and bought the land and put the infrastructure in the whole bit. They still had to reissue bonds to pay for it because the developer left them high and dry.
Right, but that's where you put the stipulation that they have certain number of years or whatever to have that developed.
And they went out of
you have to
business.
Put in an escrow.
They went out of business.
Okay.
And then
Well,
the
that
city
happens.
had to offer, issue bonds to pay for it.
Was this Allen Park with the
This
the
was-
movie district? Or
No, that was catastrophic. This was Taylor, right off of Allen Road in Goddard, right by the railroad tracks there.
So
They had a
nothing's-
great developer that had lots of money, so they went ahead and put the streetlights in the streets.
But I'm not gonna let
sewer.
that be a deterrent because of.
No,
similar
and
development.
I'm not either, but right
It
now.
happens, I'll acknowledge that, but I don't
Yeah.
want that to be a deterrent to say.
And I think the big deterrent is, we got a lot of things, a lot of balls in the air right now that require a lot of millions. We gotta decide where we're gonna try to finance those millions. And that's the big question. And that's why we got these meetings coming up, because, I mean, I'd love to be able to have $8 extra million in a fund to say, okay, let's develop this. And
Right,
start
and as
the
I was saying,
infrastructure and.
It doesn't necessarily have to come out of our pocket. We can find funding, work with the state, the MEDC. There's gotta be avenues for getting wetlands developed, not just coming straight out of the cities or the developer's pocket. Or finding a developer that's interested in taking that chunk up, but then you're gonna give something in the back end by, tax TIFs, But
Understood.
the point is, I don't want this one hurdle to stop us continue looking at both the Sibley and the Grange property. So we have a ballpark of how many acres there are, we have a ballpark of how much property tax revenue that we could bring. I would still like to know is, based upon my assessments, is that mixed-use developments can bring a much higher tax revenue than, we've seen up to 9% in neighboring cities. So it may even be more than that, 3,500 per unit. If you go stack high enough with retail or commercial on the bottom, and then residential on top of that. So I'll send an email out, but I'd still like to get some traction moving on this. I know you got a lot of things that you're juggling and need to get done. maybe you can push this off to our city assessor, we pay him, so it should be his job to do all that legwork. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Anybody else? Rita?
Yes.
Can you explain, just a lot of people are curious about the golf carts, why it's important to turn them in at the time we do, and the money that we get back, and
Yeah, so golf carts are a profit center. They take in roughly 250,000 to 310,000 a year in rental charges. And I believe our payment is somewhere around 68,000 a year. So they're a profit center for the golf course. Historically, when you have golf carts that you keep longer than your financing term, you end up giving a lot of that profit back to replacing batteries, replacing clutches, replacing engine components. So we're at a point where we get the highest level for trade after the 4 years. And that trade, we buy the carts for $1 buyout, and we can apply those monies towards the new fleet. And we release those fleets for 4 years, full warranty. So all we pay is our lease payment. So it's a very beneficial way to replace your fleet of carts and keep. And I asked Mike to track our cart utilization, and when we had older carts that were 7-some years old, 7+, a lot of people wouldn't rent the carts because they were in such bad conditions and they didn't know if they were going to make it through the whole round. And now when we have carts that we know that are going to make the whole round, our utilization rate went way up. By
Yeah,
like-
Mike did tell me that I don't know if we've lost golfers, but they're not happy when your golf cart breaks down halfway through your 18 holes.
So it's easier on staff, it's easier on running the operation. It's just the model way of exchanging golf carts out. So I would argue anyone that would, challenge me on that, I can show them that it's a profit center.
thank you.
Can I
Good
add
question.
something to that?
Go ahead.
So months before that decision came to council, we actually had a meeting over at the, what was it, Sand Trap now? And Dave and I just doing our due diligence when we looked at the golf carts. At that time, they had 26 carts that we counted that were either non-functioning or not in service. Then we looked on the board and talking to the employees there, saying, you know how embarrassing it is for the city when golfers out in the middle of 18 and says, hey, we have to stop our round, can someone bring us a new cart?
Yeah.
That was a main reason why we wanted them replaced. When we have this many golf carts that weren't working, it was absolutely
And-
necessary to get the new carts.
And I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a month period, 5-week period, it was like $10,000 that would have been, had they not been under warranty
Exactly.
still, that it would have cost directly, and it's just not worth paying for crap. I mean, people, pardon the language, but things aren't built the way they used to be built. You know, your freezer, you aren't getting a freezer that's lasting you 60 years anymore. You know, it lasts you 10 years and you're lucky. Well, whatever, if it's making money,
And
it's
keep in
making
mind
money.
this-
Keep it moving on to the next topic, onto the next thing. That's my feel on it,
I just wanted it stated.
Oh,
better,
no, no,
because I'm
no,
trying
no.
to explain
I
it to
wasn't-
people, and they're not getting it.
I in no way, shape, or
Yeah.
form was
I know
coming
that.
at you
Oh,
with
I
that.
know
I
that.
just mean like in general, like that's,
Yeah.
the decision was it wasn't breezed through. It was very much discussed, and I'm glad you brought it up again, because now I think people have a good feel of why we came to the decision we did.
And with the rates
It's
of
a
the golf
profit
course going
center.
up, they're gonna expect premium services.
Absolutely.
I'm not paying
I'm not
top
paying
dollar
extra for
to
some
golf on
junk.
a crappy golf course and having no amenities. Why would I do
Right.
that? I can go to a lackluster
else.
course and play for, if I'm playing for
Scared me for a minute
$20.
there,
I
but
know.
you name somebody.
No, no,
We
I
don't
would
have
agree
top of the
that.
line golf carts either.
No.
No.
Not even
You're right,
close, because
yeah.
I've been golfing.
Yeah.
You'll be very proud.
Good for you.
But we don't even have the top of the line. We have the ones that are gonna work for the people, that we know are gonna work, and
That's a very good comment.
Yeah.
And we don't have the basic, but we don't have the Cadillac.
Yeah, we
We
don't
just
have
have the
GPS and
normal,
everything else.
we just have the normal sedan, comfy, clean, good running. golf cart that people, reliable, that want to use for the golf, play their round.
Get
You're-
from A to B
Yep,
and back home.
Got the minivan.
yep. We have windshields and
Dependable.
bag
You're the
covers.
soccer mom
Always there.
of golf carts.
3 things that they love on our golf cart. Not only do they want them to work, but they have a windshield,
That's right.
they have a bag cover in case it rains, and they have a USB port to charge their phone or their, so those are the 3 main things you have to have.
Great.
Okay.
Brian?
Can we get an update on the RFQ for the cell tower?
The RFQ, we did have 1 bidder. We are taking that under advisement, and we're gonna talk about potentially, we felt the rate was low based on industry standards, so we're gonna talk about different options. Not just to have a bid like that, we're gonna create another bid potentially, and maybe use some professional broker services to get the amount that we think we deserve for the cell tower, so.
Will that be discussed with us? Do we know what the bid was, how short it was, where we want to be? I mean, you don't have to say that now, but
Oh, we can bring that in, yep, we can bring that back to you. We just felt that it wasn't as much as it should have been, and there was
I
some...
mean, that would come back to us anyway.
Oh, yeah, we can't sell an asset without counsel, absolutely. But,
is it tens of millions of short? Just a ballpark? I mean,
we'll tell you, we'll get you the bid results. A lot of value in a cell tower is so many times the annual
Right.
rent, and we don't believe they hit the number on the times of the annual rent. Plus, the only bidder had stipulations. We won't do this, we will do this, we won't take this, we won't take that. That's not how we bid it. We bid it under our stipulations, and they didn't meet our stipulations under bid, so why would we accept something that,
well, yeah, I mean, if there's a minimum bid and they're
Yep,
not meeting it.
yep.
Is there maintenance coming due on the tower?
no, we did our last maintenance last year. Yep. Yep, there's no additional costs. Matter of fact, we're probably gonna bring a tenant's leases up their
Yeah.
space, and we're gonna be bringing that back to council for approval for the first meeting in November, which is good,
Yep.
because anytime your
It's a
value of your lease
long-term
goes
tenant
up,
renewal, yeah.
and the value goes up then,
Mhm.
because now their annual payment goes up on the tower,
Yeah.
so.
Good.
Anything else? Now it's time for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the mayor and council, please. You don't have to approach the podium, just stand up if you want to address the council. Seeing none, we're done.